Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by HostGator, your one-stop shop to getting your business online. Your domain name, your website design, and even your marketing. They've got you covered. Have questions? Their team is there 24/7 via chat, phone, and email to help you. Start today for 30% off with coupon code TWIST. And by PagerDuty, serving as the hub of your operations, aggregating all of your infrastructure, monitoring tools, and alerting the right people and teams at the right time. Sign up today at PagerDuty.com/twist and get a free t-shirt with your first alert.
Hey everybody, it's an amazing episode of This Week in Startups today. I have Jeff Dachis, one of my oldest friends. He did Razorfish and a bunch of other companies back in Web 1.0. And I'm lucky enough to be an investor in his new company, OneDrop. And OneDrop is tackling diabetes through an app and some devices. He's a tremendous entrepreneur, and we talk about his entrepreneurial process to create a healthcare startup. And healthcare startups are hard, and they're up against doctors and this problem-based healthcare system we have. And he's doing the prevention-based healthcare system to lead a healthier life and to deal with diabetes, which is a disease that is, really affecting hundreds of millions of people on the planet, and it's not going away because obesity and a lot of other issues are driving many more people to have diabetes. It's a very challenging chronic disease, and as such, a great opportunity to make the world better through technology. Jeff Dachis is our guest today on This Week in Startups. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups, the show that I love doing. I love being here with you twice a week for the last 6 years. And you know why I love the show? Because I get to have great people on the show. Sometimes they're old friends, sometimes they're new friends. And I get to hear from them how they want to change the world. And let me tell you something, the world needs entrepreneurs and the world needs new ideas. And the world is often not kind to these new ideas and the people who bring them to the world. There's a lot of skeptics out there. There's a lot of people who don't believe in change and they don't believe that things will get better. They're not optimists, they're cynics. And a lot of people think, these entrepreneurs, the charlatans, oh my God, they're trying to sell some snake oil, they're trying to get rich or whatever. The truth is, entrepreneurship is hard. There's a lot better ways to make money. Go work on Wall Street. A million different ways to make money. Entrepreneurship is hard, and most people fail. And that's why I just love entrepreneurs, because they're bold. They go out there knowing it's a 70-80% chance of failure. That'd be like you going out in your boat and knowing there's a 70 or 80% chance you're not going to come back. And you know what? The problems this world faces, water, drought, global warming, poverty, employment, and disease. These are the things that will not be solved by some government or nation state. No NGO is going to solve them, or nonprofits. They don't get anything done. Entrepreneurs are going to get stuff done. And one of the biggest things that we face as a society is obesity. And one of the things that happens when you're obese, and listen, I lost 20 pounds. You guys can look at the tapes. You see I look fat. I started the show, I look skinny. I was 180 pounds. Then I'm 213. I'm back down to 190. Listen, it's hard to stay thin. And obesity leads, of course, to diabetes. And some people have diabetes 1, they have diabetes 2. Diabetes, huge disease. Disease management, huge market. And there's people suffering out there. And I am so proud that on today's program I have my old friend of over 20 years, Jeff Dachis. And I'm also an investor in this company because I believe in Jeff so much, primarily, and I believe in his mission with OneDrop, that I'm just absolutely thrilled, Jeff, to have you back on the program.
Thanks for having me.
God, we've known each other forever.
It's been a long time, man.
Yeah. Now, you were on Calacanis Cast, I believe, when I did my
was.
And is this your first time on This Week in Startups?
I think so.
On This Week in Startups, your first time.
But
you and I met, it's great to have you here. We met in 1994 or 5 when I was doing Silicon Valley Reporter, and you had a 2 or 3 person company known as?
Razorfish.
And that company was designed to do what in your first year? What did you call this company? What was the goal of the company in 94, 95 when you started it?
I think the original tagline was like "solutions to hard problems," if I remember. But
Really?
And we didn't really know which way we were going to go. We had WebSpy, which was our analytics platform. We had a Razorfish subnetwork with Blue Dot, which was our arts and entertainment area.
Yeah.
And then we had the consulting business, which is what blew up to be the Razorfish that we know today.
And Razorfish at its peak, when you were running your CEO, you took it public. 1,000 employees? How many?
I think 2,200 employees.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old were you when you started Razorfish?
28.
28, and you took a company public and had over 1,000 employees. It's pretty amazing that we were able to do that kind of stuff in the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very unique time.
Yeah.
That just like the world was like very open to this new idea of the internet.
It was, a time when there was this weird convergence of like cyberpunks and, drum and bass music and, emergence of the consumerization of technology, and then the internet. And it was really this networked freakers and phone hackers and things like that. Like it was all like coming together in downtown New York.
Multimedia.
Yeah.
Artists.
Yep. CD-ROMs.
CD-ROMs. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So you've had a pretty great run as an entrepreneur, and you came to me, I don't know if it was a year ago or so, and you said, "Hey, Jason, I got an idea for a business, and I want to just run it by you and just get a heat check."
Yep.
Did you have the name OneDrop at that point or no?
It was in the arsenal, but we hadn't quite honed in on it yet.
So what was your original idea that you brought to me and I guess a couple of people a year ago?
It's similar, if not identical, to where we are today. Diabetes is such a huge problem, and the universe that it operates in has the data that a person with diabetes needs to make decisions locked in these sort of monoline data silos. So your insulin information sits in your insulin pump or in your insulin pen, and your glucose information sits in your continuous glucose monitor or on your glucose meter. But food and fitness and all the different variables that a person with diabetes needs to make decisions are stuck in those devices or in other places. And so our idea was to bring those things together and have all that information in one place, first of all. And then second of all, run big data analytics on a huge population of people collecting all that data so we could provide insights back to the platform. Sort of like Waze for people with diabetes.
Waze for people like diabetes. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And I immediately said, wow, this is a great idea. And really, I got to tell you, it seemed to me like this idea should already exist in the world.
That's right.
But it didn't.
No.
Which is crazy.
And I was super frustrated with that.
And that's really what led me to the other half of my thesis. Obviously trust you as an entrepreneur and think it's a great market that needs solutions. But really, this third part actually is what really drove me most as an angel investor to want to invest in the company. And I gave you, I think, a yes immediately. Did I give you a yes immediately?
I think you said yeah right away.
Yeah, I think I said yeah right away because of your personal connection to this. Explain your personal connection to OneDrop. And by the way, you can go check out OneDrop.today. That's the first time I've ever had a .today here on the show. It's a great domain.
We liked it too, and it really sort of is of the essence of really what we're trying to accomplish. My story is kind of weird. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes a little under 2 years ago. And type 1
at the age of 40-something.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Did you develop it or you just didn't know you had it all this time?
No, you develop it.
You developed type 1 diabetes?
Yeah. Which is and type 1 diabetes is distinctly different than type 2 diabetes in many ways, but it's also very similar. And
can you explain to the audience, because I think people who don't have diabetes or a family member with diabetes don't know type 1, type 2 difference.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. So your autoimmune system attacks your pancreas and basically kills it. And so your pancreas doesn't produce any insulin, and your body doesn't have any insulin to process carbohydrates. And that's basically your body needs carbohydrates as energy to run. And so without insulin processing those carbohydrates, your body stores up all that sugar, and your sugar gets higher and higher and higher. Glucose, exactly. And so then, in essence, your body just can't process it can't get rid of all the sugar that's in your blood, and you can sort of die from too high of sugar levels.
So the glucose is not getting processed by the insulin.
Because you don't have any insulin.
Because you don't have any insulin.
That's right.
So you had insulin for 40 years of your life, and then you just stopped having it.
That's right. Exactly.
And how did you find out?
So I lost like 20 pounds in 8 weeks. And I also was like peeing like a racehorse. I was drinking like 5 gallons of water a day. And then,
What, because you were thirsty?
yeah, thirsty all the time.
Wow.
And what's happening is that your body's storing all this sugar in your blood, and your kidneys are trying to like pee it out. And so your body's telling you to like drink a ton of water so that you can help your kidneys get rid of all this sugar. At the same time, none of your muscles or your brain or anything are getting any sugar because you don't have any insulin to process it. So your body starts to use its fat or its stored energy as energy to live. So you start losing weight.
Wow.
So you start dropping all this weight because your body's just eating itself because it doesn't have any sugar.
So you're basically starving.
That's right. You're starving all the time, super hungry, ravenously hungry.
And your
all the
body
time.
goes into starvation mode and eats your body.
It eats.
It's like, well, you just burn off your fat.
It just burns everything.
Wow.
Yeah, immediately. So you're peeing all the
Scary.
time because there's too much sugar stored in your body, and your muscles and all the rest of your functions of your body don't have access to any of that sugar.
Wow.
Because there's no insulin to process it.
So during this like 8-week period or whatever, like at what point do you find, do you have enough information that you say, I need to go to a doctor?
Yeah, I sort of knew something was wrong.
Do you think you had cancer or something? What were you thinking?
Well, first I thought it was
gotta be
great. I was
terrorizing,
like, wow, my workouts are like, this is awesome. Finally, like
I'm losing weight.
This is fabulous, you know?
I can use that.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really interesting. I wonder if I could turn off my insulin for a couple of weeks and
Yeah.
that would be an interest. I wonder if anybody's ever thought of that on a weight loss drug to like, if you could.
So if you go on a low carb or no carb diet, you
Essentially what
basically
you're
can
doing.
put yourself into that mode. That's kind of what Tim Ferriss tries to do.
Yeah.
You know, sort of, you can get yourself into a mode
Yeah,
where
it's the Atkins diet.
in a way. Yeah.
So that has a word for what your body goes into. I forgot the name of it. It's like you go into some sort of state.
Yeah, and I'm going to mess it up if I say
I'm
it.
blanking on it,
Yeah,
but anyway.
I'm blanking it too.
Yeah. So you know something's wrong and you decide you're going to go to the doctor or something happens?
So, you know, it's funny. It was over the summer, and I was with my family in Minnesota, and I talked to my nephew, who's a doctor, and I just said, you know, because everybody always pesters him with all the doctor questions, right? He's a doctor. He gets all the silly
Sure, free
family
consulting. Here we
stuff.
go.
It's like, exactly. So I say, you know, here's what's going on. And he goes, oh, you have diabetes. And I said, how can I have diabetes? I work out, I eat great, you know, like this is not possible. And he's like, no, you have diabetes. You should go get checked out. And it took me a couple weeks to get in.
And you collapsed at some point, right?
Well, I'll tell you that story too.
Yeah.
But
All right, when we get back from commercial break, I want you to tell me the story of you collapsing because that was really scary.
Yeah.
And we'll hear more about OneDrop.today on This Week in Startups. Hey, everybody, let me take a moment to tell you about HostGator. Stop thinking about the business you want to do and just start doing it. Yes, it is the first step for web hosting and domain names. Go to HostGator.com, and it's a one-stop shop for everything you need. WordPress installs, drag and drop builders, easily set up custom email addresses, and do in-house design, SEO, and pay-per-click services. And it's all starts at like $4 a month hosted. It's incredible with VPS and dedicated service, 24/7 support, 365 days a year. And we use it here at This Week in Startups because it's super, super affordable, especially compared to some other hosting options, which have gotten very expensive for us. And we were able to use HostGator to save literally thousands and thousands of dollars a month of my money. This is kind of important. And HostGator is saving me, Jason Calacanis, thousands of dollars a month, which I appreciate. The first 100 This Week in Startups listeners can sign up using the promo code TWIST25, and they will get a 1-year HostGator Hatchling package for just $25. Yes, that's the 1 year of HostGator Hatchling package for just $25 if you use TWIST25, and that includes unlimited disk space, bandwidth, unlimited MySQL databases, unlimited email accounts. I mean, everything's unlimited at this place, and it's super affordable. And don't worry if you're not one of the first 100, you can still save 30% using the promo code TWIST. So you have 2 promo codes there. Try the TWIST25, and if not, use TWIST, and you're going to get a great deal. Welcome to the This Week in Startups family, HostGator. We really appreciate the support you've been giving us and the technical team, Jacob and Jackie, as we continue to scale our business, and our expenses got very expensive, and we decided we would shop it around and see if we could find a good deal, and HostGator was an amazing deal. Again, we're saving thousands a month, and you can start for as little as, a couple dollars a month. It's a really great service. Go ahead and check out HostGator.com and thank them on Twitter. Welcome to the family, HostGator. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. You can follow the show at TWI Startups on the Twitter and on the Insta. which is what the kids call Instagram, at TWI Startups. And you can follow me, Jason Calacanis, at Jason on Twitter. Yes, just the word Jason on Twitter. I'm showing off. Our guest today is Jeff Dachis, who is the founder of OneDrop.today, of which I am a proud angel investor in. Got to do my full disclosure. And you can follow Jeff Dachis on the Twitter, Jeff Dachis, Dachis. And OneDrop is OneDrop.today. So when we left our hero, your cousin's telling you, was it your cousin?
My nephew.
Your nephew was telling you, hey, listen, Jeff, Uncle Jeff, looks like you might have diabetes. But then something happened, and I want to make sure you explain type 2 diabetes and the difference there. But something happened to you, so we take either one, whichever way you want.
Yeah, so I'll just, so I go into the doctor and they basically tell me that, and here's where things start to get interesting. They basically check my blood and they say, yeah, you definitely have diabetes. And so, I left the doctor's office really angry because I literally got 12 minutes with a nurse practitioner. I got an insulin pen, a prescription, and a pat on the back, and I was out the door. I was just mad at the care that I was getting. Here I was diagnosed with this life-threatening disease, and I wasn't really getting the kind of information that I needed about how to do this.
Just in and out,
like clinical.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy clinical. And so that got me mad in a way to start Googling around and figure out, there's got to be some cool gear for diabetics. There's got to be a place where everybody's sharing all their data. There's got to be all this information out there. And there just isn't. And it really came to culminated in this strange incident where I was at my office and I went for a run and I'd eaten a peanut butter cup right before, like a Justin's peanut butter cup, which are so
I
good.
love those.
So good, right?
Yeah. They cost twice as much as Reese's peanut butter cups, and they're organic, so they must be good for you.
They're fabulous, and they have to be good for you. So, and I love those. That's like a weakness. I'm just going to say that as like a true, serious weakness of mine.
I just buy this
I buy by the case.
I buy the $8 chocolate bars like an idiot here in San Francisco. When did chocolate become $8? And then a glass of water with mint in it is also $4. People are idiots here. But then I just take that and I get the Justin's peanut butter and I just dip it in.
Oh, it's badass.
It's badass. So you have your peanut butter cup.
I eat a peanut butter cup. I take some insulin and then I go for a run. Right?
What could go wrong?
I figure I'm all good. Yeah. And I get back from my run and I'm feeling a little dizzy, but I'm just thinking it's because of the run. I shower. I get in my elevator at my office and I'm going down the elevator and I black out. I got dizzy 1 second and I black out. My face hits the floor. I knock myself out when I hit the floor and busted up my face.
Scary.
And I'm out in the elevator, and thank God, somebody eventually, the doorman for the building actually ended up coming and opening the elevator by accident and found me on the floor in there. And I got he kind of woke me up a little bit, and I got a Coke, and immediately, 5 minutes later, I was feeling better. And it really was,
could be worse. Imagine you were driving.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what a lot of diabetics face. Or people with diabetes.
Yeah. Now, what is diabetes type 2? For people who don't know. Type 1 is autoimmune disease.
Autoimmune, right, exactly.
You get the carbohydrates, can't be processed by your insulin, so your glucose, a.k.a. sugar, goes up.
That's right.
And if you don't address it, you're going to die.
You need insulin as a type 1 diabetic, person with diabetes, I have to use the proper terminology, to live. A person with
why is that? Why wouldn't you say a diabetic as a person with diabetes? Is that controversial or something like that?
It's a bit controversial in the online communities about what you call a person with diabetes, and it's based on people not wanting their disease to be labeling them. So you're not a diabetic; you are a person with diabetes.
Yeah, so you're a person who is suffering from cancer, not a cancerette or something.
Or whatever, exactly. Canceritic or whatever.
Canceritic.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, it does make it feel like you're a pariah to society. You're diabetic. Oh my God.
Exactly. And a lot of people do feel that way. And that's why the terminology sort of is more important.
So what's type 2?
So type 2 diabetes is a person manufactures insulin in their body, but because of the way they've been taking care of themselves over the years, their cells become resistant to absorbing the insulin that their body does produce.
Got it.
So you produce insulin, but in increasingly ineffective amounts because the cells because the cells have developed a cell structure that says we're not going to absorb the insulin that your body's producing. So you end up needing more insulin.
And obesity
is a key driver,
Key driver.
in type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, no, my poor dad, has been a little overweight his whole life, and
Yep.
he wound up getting it.
Yep.
Then I went to get my blood worked up a couple years ago, and the woman's like, hey, by the way, look at these charts here and this graph. I did this crazy battery of all these different blood tests you can do, and they're like, these 3 markers show that you could be diabetic if you don't lose 20 pounds. I lost 20 pounds right quick.
Boom. There are 70 million people in America with prediabetes, and there are probably over 200 million people in the world right now with prediabetes. So,
and what does prediabetes mean? Just means you're close to getting it and tip over?
You've got elevated sugar levels and consistent elevated sugar levels, which means that your cells are resistant to absorbing the carbohydrates that they need to. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So you decide that you want to start this company.
Mm-hmm.
And you launched at the Launch Festival, which was fantastic to have you there.
It was great to be there.
You did a great job, and you won Best Design.
Yep.
So maybe you could show us the app here. Show us OneDrop.
That'd be great.
Plug it in, yeah.
So, just as a primer, OneDrop is a platform. It's a system. It's a mobile app, as well as a big data backend, and then we're producing a glucometer as well as a supply subscription service in 2016. But we'll talk about the app right now. All right. There we
Great,
go.
and we're loading the app up here, and I see the beautiful drops making a circle, all different color coded.
Yeah.
And then, wow, this looks so beautiful. Your design, working at Razorfish and founding Razorfish has really served you well.
Well,
You know how to design a good app.
Well, I worked with a lot of talented people. They're much more talented than myself, but it's a testament to my team. Shout out to the OneDrop team, and they've done an amazing job. So let's talk about some of the aspects here of OneDrop. This is really just a logging, sharing, and insights platform. And so we'll break things down into sort of 3 components. So logging. Logging is super simple. You touch the bottom there. 4 different types of logging pop open.
Check, meds, food, move.
Yep. You can check your blood. You use your own glucometer.
I was about to say I don't know what check means, but I guess if you are a person with diabetes,
Yep.
That means you're checking your blood sugar level.
That's right. And here you just dial it in. I'm going to dial in 81.
And it says mg/dl. Okay.
Yep, and that's milligrams per deciliter.
Got
it. Which is different than the European version, but you can set
what's
both.
normal?
Normal?
What's high?
70 to 100 is kind of normal.
Got it.
Yeah.
So if you're eating well, you're having salads and some protein, and you're not going crazy on the sugar, what happens if I have a mochaccino like I'm having right now?
If you put sugar in it, your sugar will spike, but then your pancreas will kick in some insulin.
Perfect.
And then your sugar will come down.
And if you do it, what happens?
If I have a mochaccino with extra sugar in it, my sugar will spike, and then I don't have any insulin to bring it down.
Got it. What would you go up to, 100, 150?
Oh, no. Depending on the number of grams of sugar of carbohydrates that you consume, I don't know the exact math for everybody, but in essence, my blood sugar will spike, a lot.
Yeah.
Up 150, 250.
Wow.
I'll show you on the platform here.
Great. Here we go.
When we get to some folks.
So you say what you did there. You can put a photo in of where you are.
You can add a photo of the meter.
Private
you can add a private note or share a pro tip. You can tag this.
Tag it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm at
lunch.
work.
I'm feeling fresh. I'm traveling. I have custom tags. This is some new stuff, by the way. I'm showing you new features that no one has access to right now.
Oh, great.
This is a beta build that no one's got access to. So custom tags is new. If you want to make your location private right now, because everything is shared, you can make your location private, and then you save that, and it shows up on sort of the me stream, this 81 here that we just did. Same thing for meds. You do the same thing with insulin. You can do the same thing for food. And food is just photographing things. So we've got sort of this
So here you go. Here's your mocha. You take a picture of your mocha and be like, I had a mocha.
I had a mocha. You enter it in, mocha, and it's a snack, and it's a drink, and we're good to go. The phone automatically imports all your steps. So as long as you've got your phone with you, it's tracking all your movement.
Oh, how does it do that? Through the
accelerometer and the pedometer? Yeah.
Oh, are you doing your own, or you pull it from HealthKit?
No, we're pulling from HealthKit.
Perfect.
Yeah. And the same thing with if you have a continuous glucose monitor that integrates with HealthKit, then we're automatically tracking your glucose. You don't have to enter anything. Yep.
And when is this new version going to be available? In a couple of weeks, or
it should be should be a week.
Okay, great,
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, in the App Store in a week. So that's the Me Stream, and you're seeing your own data day over day, month over month.
Okay, and what's the size of the bubble? I see all the bubbles there. That's kind of nice, and I guess the bubbles correlate with if it's a food or if it's a.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you see, the line through the center there is a gray line, and that gray line is really your in range. So any pink dot, which is glucose, that's in the range is in range. And you set your range, and then all the dots that are in the line are in range. Anything that's over the line is out of range. Anything that's under the line is out of range.
Got it.
Yep.
So you could be low.
You could be low under the range.
Is that a problem being low?
You can die instantly if you're low.
What?
So high blood sugar will kill you slowly. Low blood sugar can kill you instantly.
Oh my God.
And so staying in range is really the whole goal of a person with diabetes. Wow. You got to just stay in range. It's like walking a tightrope and doing the math and Sudoku puzzles all at the same time.
God.
And so that's the key is to not get too high with too many carbohydrates and no insulin, and not to get too low with an overdose of insulin or exercise.
How has this been to you on a personal basis in your life? Which is to say, you get to a certain age, you've gotten into a rhythm of life, and then this really is got to turn your life upside down. How many hours a day or a week do you have to do this? And is it really when you get diagnosed with this and you realize, my God, I've got to prick myself all day long and I got to shoot insulin in my body?
Yep.
Was it depressing for you? I would be beside myself. I think I'd be like, oh God, this sucks.
It's depressing for a lot of people, but I'm going to say to you, and this may sound strange or whatever, but getting diabetes is one of the biggest opportunities I've had in my life. I prick my finger 10 times a day.
Does it hurt when you do that?
A little bit. A little bit. Just a little. It's for a second it does. Yeah. But it's really a sharp reminder for me, and a literal sharp reminder that I'm alive. I'm not dead, and I'm not going to be dead.
Right.
I get to remind myself every day.
Yeah, you better to
10
be
times a
better
day.
To be feeling that sharp prick than to be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you sort of take, it's like, what an opportunity have I been given to basically think about all the things that are important, all the graduations I'm going to go to, all the weddings or the great events that I'm going to see. I'm going to watch my kids grow up to be hopefully fabulous people.
Yeah.
And I get to prick, that prick every, couple times a day, 10 times a day for me, reminds me every single day how important living in that moment is, the opportunities that we have to live a great life, to do great things, and to be on the planet as a good person.
Right. Wow.
And
that's
so
a great way to take it.
Yeah. And so that for me, it was like a really good.
So not bitter.
No, not bitter
why
at
did
all.
this happen to me?
No, I feel
I would
great.
be bitter.
And I want
I'd
other
be
people
pissed off because you know what? It just seems to me like, God, how much of your time does this take to deal with?
It's time consuming for a lot of people. And a lot of people look at diabetes as their second job.
I was about to say, this becomes like your hobby, but you didn't elect to have it.
That's right.
And it's not a fun hobby.
For most people, it's not a fun hobby. And
it's not like painting. I took up painting and now I get to paint.
Exactly.
Is it an hour a day of time or half hour a day? What does it take of your time?
Yeah, and I'm relatively regimented about it. So
half hour.
But yeah, people bemoan the amount of. It's probably a good hour a day probably.
But I guess I really do appreciate what you're saying because. Listen, you could get hit by a bus. Life is random, and you could be in a wheelchair, be paraplegic. God, there's a million go blind. There's a million things that can go wrong in this life. We're all very fragile, and to keep a positive attitude about it, I think is fantastic. Okay, when we get back from
go ahead. Sorry,
as I say, when we get back from commercial break, I'm going to tease devices and where this is going because you talked a little bit before about I don't know cartridges or kits and all this other kind of stuff, which I think is super exciting. When we get back on This Week in Startups. Yes, PagerDuty is a great product that manages one of the most painful aspects of running a startup, which is when the service goes down, who do you call? Who do you wake up? Which developer has to leave, their daughter or son's, soccer game? Oh my God, it's brutal. PagerDuty is a reality that we all have to deal with. Our services are 24/7. If things go down, you're going to need to have a product that manages all the alerts, who's on duty. And you know what? People quit over PagerDuty. It's a very challenging, controversial, internal debate amongst developers, right? And developers have a lot of choices of where they're going to work. Sysadmins have a lot of choices of where they're going to work. You want to have tools to make it easy, and PagerDuty is that tool. Just looking at the client list here, Atlassian, HipChat, Pinterest, New Relic, Airbnb, Panasonic, Slack, and Path, and us. I mean, it's an amazing product. You do not want to roll your own monitoring system. Customers love the apps. They have an iOS and an Android app, of course, so you can receive alerts there. And one of my investments was in Chartbeat, a great company. And Justin Lintz over there, the senior operations engineer, said this: PagerDuty gives Chartbeat one central place to send critical alerts. We now have a simple, easy process for on-call scheduling. Hey, here's your call to action. Sign up today for a free 14-day trial at PagerDuty.com/twist, and you'll get a free t-shirt when the first alert comes in. That's right, a free t-shirt when you get your first alert. Go to PagerDuty.com/twist, PagerDuty.com/twist. This is a fantastic product from a fantastic company that really solves a massive pain point, which is being on PagerDuty is brutally painful sometimes. And you know what? Things go down. It's very stressful. And you need tools to make it less stressful and manage it better. Really, like when things are bad, you need those tools to make things a little bit easier and a little bit more manageable so people don't quit on you and so your service is up and running. Thanks again to @PagerDuty for sponsoring independent media like This Week in Startups. Speaking of which, let's get back to this amazing episode. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis. You can find me on Twitter @Jason. And my guest today is Jeff Dachis. He's very simply Jeff Dachis on Twitter, Dachis. And if you've heard him on the program, go ahead and tell him and say hi and follow him on Twitter. And please, if you know somebody with diabetes, email them OneDrop.today and tell them, hey, download the app because this could have a meaningful impact on their lives. So what do I get with this app? I mean, I log everything. That's great. But you said there were some social or community kind of features to this, or some other more advanced features. What are some of the advanced features? Once you get my data in there, what can you do with it?
Well, again, here I am, logging aspects of my day-to-day life with diabetes. But when you go to the We stream, sort of like Instagram, you're sharing all of your data with everybody on the platform.
So this is Instagram for people suffering from diabetes?
In a way, or Waze.
Or with diabetes.
Yeah. So you're contributing your data to the platform, and everybody gets to learn from your experience how to navigate a day-to-day experience.
The two letters there on the left are your initials.
They're someone's initials, yeah.
Got it.
And the data is ID identified and anonymized.
Got it.
And here,
so somebody's got a 334 there on their sugar. Oh my God, what's
that's
going
right.
on there?
You know what? And that person, that's a high sugar level, right? And so what we're seeing there is their story below. Their story.
Oh my God, this person is going crazy. Those are big circles.
Those are big circles. Now, I'm not here to say whether that's good or bad because they're living their life the way that they need to, and I can explore sort of what their story is. So here's their journey through their days with diabetes. But what I am going to do is give them a little bit of love. I've got this new sticker feature. So I'm going to give them a King's hat. I'm going to give them a stay on target thing, and then some new features we've got here. I'm going to give them crush it like a boss.
Perfect.
And these are cool. And now they're going to get a push notification on their phone that says somebody just gave you some sticker love. Now, diabetes is lonely and it's depressing sometimes and shameful. And here are other people like me who are patting other people on the back and giving some positive affirmation.
Yeah, a little fist bump.
A little fist bump. That's what it is. Yeah. Exactly.
Because it is isolating and lonely.
That's right. So the sharing platform lets you sort of learn. I'm going to get it. Here's DB. I don't know who DB is, but let me see. There's some Cheerios there. Let me give them some sticker love. Give them the zap.
And that's low carb.
Well, for them that's low. They're saying that's low carb. I think that could be high carb, but
okay.
And that's the thing. Not everybody with people live their life with diabetes, but they don't quite understand.
Yeah. Knowledge is
what's low and what's high and what's so how do I navigate this? How do I navigate potatoes or pizza or Chinese food? Let me see how other people are doing it. You like burritos? I like burritos. How do
you navigate burritos? Yeah.
How do you navigate a burrito? Like
what do you leave out?
Yeah. Or
what do you leave out of a burrito? Who knows?
I get the burrito bowl, but if you want to eat the tortilla and the rice and all that and the beans, which are all carbs, how does someone else do that? How much insulin do they have to take, or what exercise do they do to bring their sugars in line from the people that don't? And
because that is something you could do too. If you go eat the rice and the tortilla, and you're going to spike up, you could just go for a walk or a run and burn it off.
That's right.
So that's your other option.
That's
right. Take insulin or go for a run.
That's right.
So some people, you could just still eat poorly if you have diabetes type 1 and just keep shooting yourself with insulin.
Correct.
Do you have to shoot yourself with insulin every day?
Yes.
So but you could shoot yourself with less insulin and less often if you eat better. Is that right?
Yes. So you need two types. Most people with diabetes use two types of insulin. Most people with type 1 diabetes use two types of insulin, a basal, which is a long-acting insulin, and a bolus, which is a short-acting insulin. Mm-hmm. The basal is for basically like a base level, like what my pancreas would normally be secreting on a regular basis. And then bolus is what you need to process carbs, like you drink your mocha, and then boom, you get a spike, and then your pancreas releases an extra shot.
Got it.
Since we don't have that, we use two types of insulin to manage those, the base rate and then sort of the spikes.
Now, what about the food types. Like, is there any way to figure out like what food types in the app in reality are the worst to eat or the most challenging, right? Like, so you have this big data over time. You're going to start to understand people with diabetes in Dallas versus people in diabetes in Brooklyn versus people with diabetes in San Francisco, correct?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, carbs, are the culprit. So let's just call it like that.
Yeah.
But carbs for you are different than carbs. Something that causes you to spike is different than something that causes me to spike.
Okay, what's
this? So here we can see sort of like your highest glucose moments. And here I'm going to look at this delicious pastry that I ate when I was in France. I had this fabulous.
Oh, this is legitimately you.
Yeah, this is me, and this is my high.
What kind of pastry is that?
That was my high glucose moment. That was just like fabulous.
And where?
It was fabulous. I can't even. We were
there.
It is. It was amazing. But
Saint
Sulpice.
Saint Sulpice.
It was Gerard Malou, I think. It was the pastry shop or whatever. And this sort of.
So you don't have to give up your pastry. You just have to. Moderation and
I'll tell you. So look at the story here. I ate that pastry. I took 4 units of insulin to cover for it. I thought it was the right amount. Well, boom! I spike at 237 a few minutes later, and it wasn't the right amount. Right. So I ended up taking an extra 7 units of insulin.
Wow.
To bring it down, and
then another 3.
And then another 3 before I ate this. What is this French onion soup, which was fabulous too.
Wow.
But then.
So once again, the French are the enemy.
The French are the enemy, exactly.
Unbelievable.
The enemy of diabetes.
We found the enemy.
The French.
Actually, the Italians would be probably worse with the pasta and the
pastas.
pizza.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he has an ought to say to yourself, good food or bad food. You just need to know what food does to you.
Yes.
Right? It's not good and bad. It's what does it do to you.
And there are some extremely low glucose foods in the world. Like chana dal, I was reading, is like this lentil that's incredibly low. What are the foods that are low on the glycemic index, right? The glycemic index is what you guys have to memorize?
I mean, it's most vegetables.
Vegetables are
fish,
extremely
protein.
low. Protein 0.
Yep. Cheese, but not dairy.
I think protein is 0 on the glycemic scale, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, all foods convert into some form of sugar for your body, energy for your body to use.
Right.
But protein and fat, so I eat a very high fat, high protein diet and a very low carb diet generally outside of that dessert that you
Because I remember reading the glycemic index and I was like, where is steak on here? And where's fish on there? And it's like, it's not on the glycemic index.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. So.
Okay, continue. Any other features in the app we should take a look at?
Yeah. I mean, there's some cool stuff. Like
how long did it take you to build the app? And what does it take in terms of cost to build a world-class app like this for the entrepreneurs listening?
So
time and money, like kind of situation, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you got on your team, really.
Right.
So again, hats off to the OneDrop team. You guys are killer, and you know it. Time and money, I think that's relative.
Yeah.
I think
6 months to build something like this, get the first build out.
Yeah, almost a year, really, when you think about what the. All the prep time that you put into before you spend any money or any energy building anything.
Right.
You really do a thorough investigation of like user profiles, user flow. What does a user do with their daily life? How do they live their life with diabetes? What's going to make from a user experience perspective, not just user interface, but the user experience. What's that user experience going to be for somebody? How are they going to experience your product? How are they going to love your product? How are you going to create delight for that user? How are you going to meet their needs at each step of their life with the product?
Did you do a lot of like user interviews in the beginning? I mean, you have it yourself, so you have an idea, but
I didn't actually. So I'll say like I'm probably a bad entrepreneur in that regard.
Well, I mean, you happen to be customer 1,
right?
You're customer 0, as I like to call it. Like when you are building as an entrepreneur the product for yourself, you're customer 0.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually sometimes that's how the best products in the world are made.
Yep.
Is that singular vision, but the design is also super delightful and interesting. Are there any other features that you have that are new?
Yeah, I was just going to basically show, there's this cool feature called Map Insights where you can not only see where you are on the map and what you're eating, but this is everybody on the OneDrop platform.
Oh, wow. So there are literally people around us right now.
Yeah, there are lots of people around us using it right now. And,
that's fantastic. Wow.
And then you can see not only what their blood sugars are, but if you click on the dot, you'll see if they've eaten something recently, you'll see the food that they ate. This person doesn't have any food moments entered into their story, but These are all people like in the neighborhood
Wow, that's amazing.
who are using the platform and who are, eating at certain places so that you can help decide not only what to eat, but where to eat.
Right.
Where can I find a meal that's going to fit into what I want to get done?
Yeah.
Here's where other people have eaten. Here's their blood sugar at that point in time, and here's the food that they ate.
Well, can I ask you a stupid question? What is the role of like artificial sweeteners and stuff like that when you have diabetes? Like there's now, agave. There's obviously sugar in the raw. There's Splenda and all this stuff. But there's also things like stevia now.
Yeah.
So what happens when you eat these things? So when you eat sweet and low, does your body know or not know? Does it spike it or not?
So it doesn't spike it, but there is some controversy around artificial sweeteners right now with diabetes. So like diet sodas, for example. Supposedly, there's been some recent studies that basically say that those types of artificial sweeteners can in fact increase your blood sugars.
It's been proven,
but not in the same way. So it's not the same mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember reading this book, Why We're Fat, I think, or it was Wheat Belly or Why We're Fat. One of those two books, which are great books on understanding how our body chemistry works. But yeah, they were saying that the aspartame or some of these things are so good that when they go into your mouth, the theory now is that when you drink them, they're so good, they trick your body into thinking sugar and they spike your insulin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which then, forget if you're diabetic or not, if you're eating pizza and Diet Coke, it's basically going to store the carbs into fat quicker because your insulin's spiking or whatever. I don't understand exactly how it works, but pretty crazy.
Yeah. Again, generally speaking, like if you want to avoid taking insulin and avoid the lows associated with taking too much insulin, avoid the carbohydrates.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, the app is fantastic.
Thanks.
And I think I can't believe Apple hasn't featured it yet. This is an easy one for Apple to feature. Somebody, please.
Apple,
it's got to be. I know we have a lot of people from Apple who watch the show. So if somebody knows somebody from Apple, can you please just tip them off to OneDrop.today? It's beautifully designed. It looks like Apple made this. So the Apple Watch.
Yep.
Have you started thinking about I see you're wearing one.
I am.
First of all, what do you think of it? And second of all, wouldn't this be the great input mechanism?
Yeah. So first of all, I like the watch a lot, and I think it's as a V1, it's a cool fitness product first and foremost. Like I think it's great for fitness and all the things related to fitness and health tracking, and then two, the messaging features around email and
notifications.
The notifications I think are really where the sweet spot is. We have our Apple Watch app is on here, so
we have an Apple Watch.
Yeah, it's great.
And how does it work?
It's largely, much like most of the Apple Watch apps. It has a lightweight component to it. You receive all your notifications on it. You can see most of the you can see the Me Stream and the We Stream, and most of what you can see in the regular app. You can't do your entry on the watch yet.
Yeah,
correct.
That'll be a great one though, because once you load the app, you could just scroll through the 4 choices, or you could go like whatever, and then you could just slide horizontally or vertically to pick what you want to do.
Exactly. But one thing that you can do is get a quick glance. So when you add OneDrop to your glances, you can get a quick glance of where you're at for the day. So you'll see your average, your blood glucose average for the day on your watch, and that's kind of handy.
Okay, I met with a friend in New York last week, or this week actually, and he said he shoots himself with a device every week, and it tells him his insulin on a constant basis on some really ugly-looking, big, huge computer that he had. What are these things? People can shoot themselves and have an insulin reading going constantly?
So I think what you're talking about is either a continuous glucose monitor.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, continuous glucose monitor.
Or there's an insulin pump. And a lot of type 1s wear both.
Oh, really?
2 rigs on their body with wires or extra sensors on them.
Got it.
And the continuous glucose monitor it's like a pager-sized device.
Right.
And then there's a sensor that you put on your body.
Huh.
So you basically tape it onto your body. It's like the size of a quarter or so, and it's got a patch, and you put it on there, and that's a needle, and it sticks into your arm or your belly or wherever you're going to wear it.
Yeah.
And then it wirelessly transmits your glucose continuously to a receiver.
How many people do that? And what's the upside downside?
I don't have the exact numbers, but I think there are probably about 500,000 or more units in market right now.
Got it. Is that a new thing? Is it expensive?
It's relatively new, and type 1 diabetics swear by it. They don't like doing the finger pricks. They want to have access to the trend data, and the trend data is really important to know which direction your glucose is headed. So for a lot of people, it makes a lot of sense. For kids specifically.
Without the discipline to.
Yeah. So if your kid,
and they may not want to prick their finger 10 times. It might be hard.
Yeah, it might be hard, or there's some sort of, again, stigma to taking out this like medical gear that that the doctor gives you.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why we've taken the step to make our own glucometer. Yeah. With this, badass sort of look at how people can feel great about testing their blood.
Yeah, and here it is. I can pull it up on my screen. I think I'm plugged in, and yeah, wow, you really went to town on building something beautiful here. Again, your design skill coming back and helping you. So what are we looking at here? Walk us through.
You're looking at a design prototype for the first OneDrop glucometer, and then the cases and accessories that come with it. You have a glucometer, a lancet device, a case for the strips, and then a case for the whole sort of carry case for the thing. And what's great about it is that the gear that you carry around today, the stuff that's out there, the Bayer products or the Johnson & Johnson products that are out there, they feel like medical devices. Yeah. And that's been the approach of the sort of...
This looks like Apple made it.
Yeah. I mean, and you'd be proud to take this out. Yeah. You'd whip that out on the table at the restaurant and check your blood. The idea is to make people with diabetes feel like they're the ultimate quantified selfers. Right?
And they are.
You check your steps, right? Yeah. I check my blood, right? Quantified.
Now, wait a second. If you don't have diabetes, checking your blood levels would be incredible for somebody without diabetes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Mark Cuban has advocated strongly that people, check their blood regularly.
Yeah.
And,
like go get blood tests on a regular basis.
And what better way, for people who are, let's say, fitness freaks or paleos or triathletes to basically monitor themselves other than have a badass rig to check your blood.
I think this would be a very good thing I think it'd be a great thing for people who are dealing with obesity or being slightly obese to actually know their glucose level constantly, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, this would be like a great preemptive way for them to know, like, hey, here's what you're doing wrong.
Yep.
On an educational basis.
For the 70 million Americans with prediabetes, having a nutritional coach or having some coaching to help you lose weight is one thing, but having OneDrop as your pal riding right alongside of a program or an effort to lose weight is a great way to start being more mindful, more motivated, and to get empowered by the desire to live your life literally one drop at a time.
So you're going to make these things in the next year or two? What's the rollout plan?
Rollout plan is to roll out the glucometer and test strip and supplies subscription service in 2016.
And so what's next for the company? I mean, you had a nice launch at the launch festival. You've raised some money. You're easily fundable because you're a legendary entrepreneur. So what do you have to focus on in building this company? Because it is a medical company. And I always swore off like doing any kind of medical company, although now I've done two, you and Better PHA, which I've had in the program. So I guess it's getting easier to do medical startups or not? It's a unique set of things you need to do to be a medical startup. What are they?
So we don't really view ourselves as a medical company, and I'm just going to say that.
Sure.
There's doctors, pharmaceuticals, and hospitals that focus on the healthcare industry.
Got it.
We're focusing on the self-care industry.
Got it.
And we want to empower people with...
What's the difference between those two, yeah?
Well, we want to empower people to make better choices about their own wellness and their own health with data.
Right.
And really, it's the first time in history that mobile computing, quantified self, big data, and the Internet of Things with sensors and things like that can come together to actually create a different way of viewing how people can care for themselves. All that data used to sit with doctors, hospitals, and pharma.
Right.
But now we have access to that data ourselves, and we can share it with each other. So self-care and crowd care could, I think, become the sort of fourth leg of that stool to help people make better choices. And as we start to become more accountable for our own care, both from the dollars perspective with Obamacare, the dollars are getting pushed towards the consumer. The consumer has to start being... Oh,
really?
Yeah, I mean, we have to start being more responsible with our own healthcare dollars. it behooves us all, and it's going to be, I think, everybody's responsibility to start becoming more well. And you can't do that if you don't have the tools, and you can't do that if you don't have the data, and you can't do that if you don't have a community of people like you making day-to-day decisions, living your life with chronic care.
What is the role of the doctor, the healthcare providers in this new self-care, crowd care world?
Well, I think, you're always going to need a doctor
Of course.
for serious issues. If you break your leg, you need a doctor, and they're great, in that universe. I think for keeping people well, I'm not certain that the healthcare industry has done a great job at keeping people well.
Right.
I don't think they've done a great job at giving you the tools or the information or the processes to keep people well. There's a great system for procedure-based, fee-based care that you pay by the office visit, and doctors. That's how they.
In a way, it's very reactionary. You pay when you have a problem. You pay per problem.
Per problem. It's sick care.
It's sick care, not health care.
Not health care.
That's a fascinating way to look at it. It is sick care.
So how can we do data-driven self-care?
Yeah.
And that's really what we're talking about. And it's consumer-led, not industry-led.
And what role does the insurance and Obamacare play in all this? Is it structurally changing in a way where the dollars could be for actual health care as opposed to problem care?
So it behooves the insurance industry to keep people healthy,
right?
But because they get paid by employers largely, right?
Yeah.
The individual receiving the care and who may be healthy or sick has been divorced from the person paying for the care.
Right.
Right? Now
they've been divorced from paying.
Right. So now with, and I'll say with some of the improvements that Obamacare has brought on, it's starting to drive some of that accountability back towards the user.
Got it.
Back towards the consumer. And so since I'm going to have to start covering more of my own healthcare dollars, I'm starting to wonder, well, what tools and technology do I have to help to keep myself well, so that I don't have to pay for care that I'm now responsible for.
Right. And what else is different about running this kind of startup, do you think, in terms of, being in the healthcare space versus being in the spaces you've been before?
Well, I've, I think had, the fortunate opportunity to work with, literally every industry as it digitally transformed over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And had the opportunity to work with, thousands of companies on all kinds of digital transformation projects. The last sort of industry to really embrace digital transformation, I think, has been the healthcare industry. We're not seeing them, they're doing things like digital health records, but it's not really improving care.
How are healthcare records not effectively done in 2015?
Yeah, exactly.
You can do word processing anywhere, Evernote. You can do anything you want with photos and filters and look like Ansel Adams or say, you can do, it's amazing what is possible today. Except
in healthcare.
Your goddamn healthcare records.
That's right.
I don't know where any of them are. I can't find any of them. Nobody knows where to put them.
And they're not even really yours.
It's a disaster.
Yeah. And this is why we have to revolutionize what's going on in self-care.
How is it possible? It's so goddamn frustrating that we're sitting here in 2015 and none of us could pull up our healthcare records.
Yep.
If I asked you to pull up your healthcare records, you don't have them. I don't have them.
Where are they?
Who the hell's got them? And why can't I have them? And then have you ever asked a doctor or one of those people to give you your documents?
You can't even get them.
You can't even get them. They feel like they're like, I don't know, HIPAA, can I give them to you or not? Like I was just like...
Log into the portal.
And you can't get into the portal. And they're like...
It's from the 80s.
It's unbelievable. And I'm trying to ask my doctor, I'm like, can you send me my records? And they're like, we can't actually do that because of HIPAA. I'm like, I waive my HIPAA rights. Just send me everything.
Yep.
I don't care. Literally publish it on the web to a public link. I don't care.
Yep.
Where will we be in 20 years with diabetes, do you think?
I think we're going to be in a place where...
Are we going to cure it?
I don't know.
Can it be cured?
I think there's a lot of hope for a bunch of different, call it cures. There's techniques for treatment, and then there's techniques for for curing. And I think they've made some very strong scientific breakthroughs in cloning beta cells and basically reigniting your pancreas.
Wow.
And so there's some stuff on the horizon for type 1 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, I think right now is going to continue to be a runaway train. And I'll say this because I think
type 2 is a runaway train.
I think so. Yeah. The industrial food supply that we have today is agro-subsidized, corn, basically. And that sugar that's derived from corn is so inexpensive as a flavor additive
Yes.
that you can put it in literally every kind of food that exists in the marketplace today inexpensively. And so what's happened is as the industrial economies start to sort of emerge in China and in India and in Brazil, when you start to see
They're going to do corn.
they're going to do food items that get cheap calories to their people, and those cheap calories are going to turn people into diabetics, people with diabetes.
It's crazy. And it's
crazy.
all because corn has been genetically modified. This is one of the things about wheat belly, which is really fascinating to think of. And also, they talk about corn and not just wheat. We have crossbred corn and wheat to be so efficient that it has no fiber left in it. It instantly becomes processed into sugar. And our bodies, from evolution, are not keeping up with the either genetic modification or the crossbreeding.
Yep.
So with wheat specifically, they crossbred wheat into dwarf wheat in the 60s or 70s to see how much per acre they could actually produce. And they made wheat, I'm using my hand here to show, about the size of a 6-ounce glass of water or something, a pack of cigarettes. Basically, the head of the dwarf wheat is so big, and it produces so much, and the wheat is only 3 feet tall, as opposed to these amber waves of gold or whatever we say in the Star Spangled Banner, where they had these little tiny wheat heads. And so what that means is we made this incredibly fine powdered flour that you make these great pastries with and that enable everything. This is a new thing for humans. It's only the last 50 years that we've had this. And it spikes your blood like you would not believe and makes you fat.
Yep.
And that's why this guy was going crazy on wheat in this book, Wheat Belly, which he literally hates wheat.
Hates wheat,
Don't eat wheat. And this cross-modification of it is just crazy. But we could solve this in our lifetime, you think. You can get your pancreas transplant.
You can get a pancreas transplant, yes.
Yeah, but that's complicated and crazy.
That's right.
Have you considered that? Have you looked into that?
No.
It's like, why would I risk it?
No, you know what? Honestly, again, I look at this as such a huge opportunity for me every day. Like, honest, I'm living with this in a way that makes me feel alive. Yeah. I feel like it's such a huge opportunity for me to be mindful and motivated about every day.
This is your third or fourth company that I know of. You've done other ones too, I'm sure, in between. But third or fourth major, I guess, fourth major. What have you learned over those 3 or 4? And then where does this one rank in terms of your passion? And I think ultimately what will be your legacy.
What I've learned is talent is everything. So
talent is everything.
Yeah,
Explain.
Talent is everything. You really have to find, recruit, retain the best talent on the planet.
I know you should put retain in there. Key.
Yeah, I mean, and I think doing that is being able to articulate a crystal clear vision for where you want to go, and helping people very quickly and clearly understand what that is. And ideally, it has something that can motivate them to feel better about the stuff that they do. So with Razorfish, I think we tapped into a desire for people to create a revolution with digital. Everything that can be digital will be. Yeah. And we were going to digitally manage sort of all the industries on the planet. And what a great opportunity that was. And people really got passionate about that work. So you could get in, wake up every day. And
Razorfish was a little bit of a cult, man. People were really into working there. You guys were you guys got culture before a lot of people did. Was that Craig, your partner, who was the culture king, or were you the culture king? Who really understood culture at your company that made it such a tight-knit group?
Well, Craig obviously, is a phenomenally brilliant, talent on the planet. So, hats off to Craig for everything that we did at Razorfish. But I think both of us really contributed, in a huge way to establishing what it meant to be there.
Right.
As a team, I think we worked really well to set the bar very high for what it meant to work at Razorfish and what it still means to work at Razorfish. Yeah. And what the expectation levels were, both for work and for play, and that all.
Did they ever call you up, the Razorfish, team or whatever, and be like, "Hey, come speak at the 10th anniversary"? Because you must have had the 10th anniversary at some point. 20th or whatever.
20th, yeah, it was 20th anniversary.
It still exists as a brand.
Yeah, it's dominating the space that it's in still.
And they never call the founders and say, hey, can you come say a few words, or would you like to be involved in some way? Never reach out.
I've been in touch with them over the years, just generally, off and on. But no, I don't know if
they even know who you are.
Maybe, they might not even know who I am. Exactly.
It's very interesting. Like Engadget is now owned by Verizon. It's not like Verizon's giving me a call and saying, hey, you and Peter Rojas or Brian Alvey or Ryan Block want to come say a few words and we'll have a 10-year party or anything.
That's right.
It's just bizarre to me, like that there's not like a reverence for the founders who put these things in motion when they still exist 10, 20 years later. They really should curate that, don't you think? Yeah. I would.
Listen, hats off to the Razorfish team now. I mean, it's 5,000 people and whatever, $500 million in revenue, and it's 21 years old.
Who owns it? Is it Microsoft owns it or something?
Publicis owns it.
Publicis owns it, right.
Maurice Levy's doing a fabulous job bringing sort of digital into the marketing universe. So hats off to them. They're killing it. Razorfish crew, keep doing the good work. I'm super proud.
Yeah, I just always felt like, gosh, I always felt so, and maybe I just take things a little too personally sometimes, but I was always just like, I wasn't hurt, but I always felt maybe sad that the folks at AOL didn't cherish the contribution we made enough to just ever call us up and invite us over for coffee. Or Peter and Ryan, like they did wind up buying Peter and Ryan's next company and they work there. But I just always thought they could have been more menschy about just including people, right?
Menschiness is not a common quality generally.
Yeah, you gotta really work on it. Speaking of mensch, Craig, your partner, went to school with Dave Goldberg. And did you know him as well when you were growing up, or just Craig?
Well, Craig didn't go to school with Dave, and I didn't go to school with Dave. But we were in a youth group together. And we went to camp together. Craig was much closer to Dave.
Yeah, but you went to camp with him too, and you went from that, or just Craig?
We were in the youth group together.
The youth group together.
We did Music Man and Guys and Dolls, and sort of singing together.
That's fantastic. And Craig's doing great with Mouth.com.
He is, yeah.
Proud investor in that as well.
He's a baller, man. Craig Canerick, you are a baller.
He, I have to say, when you become an investor, right, because we're all friends, but then when you start investing in your friends' companies, it really is one of the great, most rewarding things of my life today is that I've built friendships with enough people over decades that we have the mutual connection that we can go on that adventure together. And they're like, hey, happy to have you involved, love to have you invest. And then for me, it's just so rewarding because it's like getting, watching you guys succeed as a journalist and watching you. And then now we're 20 years later and I get to be an investor and not just like tell your story in Silicon Valley Reporter, but I get to actually invest and talk to you about the business and help you grow it in some small way. It's just tremendously rewarding for me. So thank you for letting me invest. I really am. And actually, I just thought about it. Wow, I'm an investor in both yourself and Craig's company. The two co-founders of Razorfish, I was the angel investor in both our companies.
Yeah.
That feels good.
I said this to you the other night, but I'm super impressed with what you've done. I mean, when you think back over the last 20 years of what we've been doing here.
Yeah.
And, just to watch you in action is so exciting. And you're so genuinely passionate and interested with heart and soul in all the companies that you're working with. And it's such a delight, really, to see you in action. It's really it's magical, and I'm proud to have you as an investor in the company.
You got to come to the incubator last night, so I think that you really, when you get to our age, I think you start thinking legacy. I don't know if you do ever. I start to think a little bit like about my legacy, like, hey, what am I doing here? Like, what am I going to be remembered for in this life, or what will I when I'm on my deathbed? Which who knows when that. I've been thinking about these things a lot with the passing of Dave, and just thank God. I really want to be, as helpful as he was to people, and maybe I could be a mensch, maybe I'm not Jewish, I'm a Goy, but I'm Jewish by association.
Yep.
And I'm just really trying my hardest to be as good as I can to the people who I really care about.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what? And you do it and you get so much out of it.
You get a lot back.
So much more out of it than I get from any of the victories I've had. The victories your investments have, the victories your friends have, are, I think, more meaningful in a lot of ways than the victories you have.
Yeah.
At least for me, it's been.
And you asked me earlier, about sort of which company are going to have the most impact, and with OneDrop, the emails that I get every day. I could read one for you right now. I got an email this morning from a guy who basically his kid's in the hospital, with a high blood sugar incident, and he's writing me basically telling me all the stuff that's going on with this kid in the hospital today and how meaningful, our product can be for his kid.
Yeah.
That this new approach to sharing and to, a cooler approach to dealing with diabetes versus the medical approach that he's not paying attention to could change his life. And when I think about the impact that we could have on people by giving them a product that they love, by giving them a community of people that they can, sharing and work together with, and the impact that it's going to have on people's health and wellness going forward, I just am so excited to wake up every day and do this.
Sorry, everybody. I just all of a sudden started crying.
Yeah,
and nobody knows. I just started thinking about my friend Dave.
Yeah, we miss him.
That's it. I got to end the show.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no, it's just you think about
life's short.
Life is so short.
Yeah, so let's rock this thing. All right.
I miss you, Dave. That's all I got. See you next time.